every day. Aim high, miss never. Welcome to Mortgage Influence. This podcast is dedicated to bringing you cutting-edge tips to truly influence at a completely higher level. Today, we're going to have an amazing podcast on tap here for you because we have a brand new loan officer in a new state going from zero referral partners, zero deals, zero referrals to just absolutely exploding her business. We want to go through how she did that. So if you're a new loan officer out there and you're thinking, hey, listen, I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. She's going to go through some of these steps, how she was able to grow her business. And more importantly for you, like how can you start taking steps today to start gaining traction, to start gaining referral partners, to start gaining referrals, and then get the closes that you want. Because listen, a lot of people will say it's tough out there. It's a tough market. It's not that it's tough. It's that you haven't gained the skill sets yet to realize and discover it's quick and predictable growth that you can have in your market today with its correct skill set. So it's not that the market is so tough. It's that you haven't yet to gain the skill sets to realize and discover it is out there for you. Quick, predictable growth now. So on this show, buckle up, get ready to go, and start taking some notes. We have the amazing Holly Luca. How you doing, Holly?
Hi, Adam. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Yes, I'm excited to have you on here and talk about the journey, go through some great dialogue here and help our listeners take this and run with it. So I'm just happy. So would you like to, where are you from? Where you live now? Like tell us a little background and then let's dive into it however we want to, right? This is our show. We can do what we want.
All righty. Well, I'll start out by telling you where I'm currently located. I am in the Austin area. So I'm currently located in Hutto, Texas, which is just a suburb of Austin.
Yep.
So I've been networking a lot and trying to get started down here because I am brand new. I'm originally from Iowa. So all of my prior mortgage experience and contacts and all of that stuff are still in Iowa. They're not down here in Texas. And I had to kind of relearn all the special things that Texas has to offer as a mortgage lender. And I also came from the credit union background or from, the banking background. And because of that, the licensing is a little bit different. So when I relocated to Texas, I had to take the national exam. And Texas requires more credit hours than what Iowa normally would require. So that was a little bit different. And then really start from scratch down here.
Yeah. Well, Iowa to Texas, that is definitely a big change. I moved to Texas from Michigan when I was in high school, so I get the move to Texas. I feel like once you're in Texas, you always have a little bit of Texas in you, right? It's just, you probably feel that already. It's like you almost feel that. I almost still can think about feeling the burnt ground, right? Like the Texas has the 110-degree weathers and just amazing folks. So I love Texas. So let me ask you this, Holly. A lot of people are out there, right? Like you probably had something similar. You get into the loan game, and there's fears involved in that, right? Like there's fears, like just all this angst, like I'm a new city, I'm a new place, and all these things are going through your head. Like what was some of those fears for you, like in growing your business? Like what was those first initial fears?
Well, first fear was passing the exam here in Texas. So, that was the major hurdle. It seemed like for me, which I didn't have any issues with that. So that turned out to work out really well. But then just being in a new state and not having any connections, that was the biggest fear or the biggest hurdle that I feel that I really had to overcome is, which company should I work for, once I was licensed, and then really, how do you get started? I didn't know anybody except for my daughter and my daughter-in-law down here. That's it. Yeah. I didn't have any connections with realtors or insurance, nobody. And so really trying to how to jumpstart that, I think that's the biggest thing, because you tend, when you have that fear of putting yourself out there, you tend to drag your feet a lot.
Yeah.
And because then you're sitting here, well, do I work on this first, or do I work on that first? Or, really, what do you do? Plus, I'm new to the broker industry. I am a mortgage broker versus a banker.
Yeah.
So, that's very different too. And so there's a learning curve when it comes to that. And so I had that on top of just really putting myself out there and getting to know people.
Yeah. So in those fears, like what was that first initial steps you had to take to overcome those fears, and like how did you overcome the fears and move your business?
Well, I think the first thing is that I remembered, believe it or not, in that my dad always taught me growing up on the farm in Iowa that I had to pull myself up from my bootstraps and wait on in. So thinking of that, I had to just start.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, I got invited to the webinar that you held, that you invited me through LinkedIn. Didn't know anything about you, your company, or any of that. But so I joined the local chamber and put myself out there and just went to a couple networking things. So I at least got that initial feeling that, okay, I can do this. I remember what it's like to be out here networking and all of that. But in addition to that, being on your webinar call that you did and listening to your presentation really was an eye-opener, because it really makes you stop to think, well, it's not just doing a networking event.
Yeah.
So then here we are today.
Yes. And I love that we're here today, because I love that you're a part of our community at Hires Coaching, but I love the success. I just love it. Just really lights me up. And this is why I do what I do. And you are a testament to what you can actually achieve in such a short window, right? And we're going to go through some of those short windows, like and some of the challenge and stuff like that we had as well here in a little bit. So it's tune in here what Holly was able to accomplish. But like, yeah, you're right. Like you started taking some action, right? Which was one of the biggest things required, right? You just started moving through the fear, taking some action, and hey, I'm going to get on the webinar. I'm going to try to learn. And then I'm going to go to a chamber. I'm going to try to network. I'm going to try to do something. I got to have some forward momentum. So I would say there's two reasons why we moved to action, right? Desperation. We moved past the fear, I should say. And that's because desperation and inspiration. And I think there's some of that desperation probably, right? Like I got to move, and then inspired. Okay, I can do this, and I could do some really cool stuff. So like, I love that you started taking an action. And I knew once I met you, like there was somebody that was going to take some action. So I was like, this is someone that can truly grow and do well. So you have the prerequisite out there. It's kind of like you out there. If you are taking some action, like, then guess what? You give yourself a lot of credit, right? Because a lot of people, you'd be surprised, a lot of loan officers just stay stagnant, right? They don't take any action. Like, I got to know all the information, I have to know everything, and then maybe I'll try that. But you started taking that action early, despite the fears, despite those things, because I wanted to illustrate that, because you did have fears, right? Like, it wasn't like you just woke up and like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and I'm brand new in the city, and I'm just going to start slinging deals, and it's like, cool, right? You have those fears going on, which is a good human emotion that moves us, right?
It does, and it takes a lot of prompting from, I have a really good support system with my family, my husband and my son, and there was constant prodding from my husband. Where are we at today? Are you actually going to get started with this? And and that's important too, because it is that first step, even if it's a baby step. That first step is so important. And I just finally woke up one morning, I don't know what it was, and decided today is the day that I am taking that baby step, and I'm going to at least start something somewhere. And whether I had the knowledge or not, I mean, I have a lot of years, 20 years of mortgage knowledge, but again, as a banker, and it's very different in that world than it is in the broker world. And I just decided I'll learn it as I go, right?
Yeah, 100%. One thing I want to go back to, you said on the webinars, there's eye-opening. Like, I want to what was the eye-opening moment for you? You're saying like I know there's that moment you're saying that there's something that's like, okay, wait, was it like, hey, I can do this, or hey, there's a skill set required, or what was that eye-opening moment for you that kind of changed, what you
So in your
thought?
presentation, you had a section in your presentation about pattern interrupt.
Yeah, 100%.
And so when you think about the pattern interrupt, I think that was the biggest impact on me at that moment in time. Looking at, going through the presentation, just listening to what you were saying and trying to get people to understand is it's not one way is going to be the successful way.
Yeah.
But today you have to draw people's attention differently than what I had to do 10 years ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. I mean, it's different today. And to be really successful in a sales environment, you have to think and speak differently. And you were speaking in ways in that presentation that I don't normally speak in. And part of that is to that pattern interrupt and being able to recognize different phases of an interview that you go through. And I think that that's powerful information. And I think everybody needs that information today.
Yeah, I love that. 100% the pattern interrupt. I mean, if we don't get people to stop and suddenly listen to what we're saying, and we don't bust their noise, right? Like that's what we were always talk about. Creating marketing messages that bust through noise, because there is so much noise out there, right? There's so much noise. There's so many things. There's so many things fighting for our attention and focus. And if we don't bust through that noise in a way that gets them to stop and go, hey, what's this about? Right? Or especially in the sales, you've seen that in the sales process. What I love about your sales process, Holly, again, all credit goes to you because you showed up, you started doing the work, you were coachable, you did those things. Like you're the hero in the story, like literally, because you went and you did the thing, right? You could, we can give all the material and I can say, hey, this presentation, but you were taking it and saying, okay, how do I apply this to my business? And so like, one of the things I like too, that you had right off the bat is you had a side-by-side comparison on one, right? Because it was different pattern interrupt and everything you did there. Like you went to one referral meeting and another referral meeting, and you're like, hey, listen, I went side by side almost in these because they were before I had some of this information. I did what I usually do, and it went okay. And I did this, and it was able to like have a different conversation. They were saying, hey, I want to go ahead and partner with you. Can you kind of explain, like, you don't have to explain all the parts of that, but like explain like just like what kind of eye-opening moment was that for you? And like, how did that kind of change like how the conversations going forward was for you?
Well, I think first of all, you got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And sometimes going through those uncomfortable moments were awkward. So when you're putting yourself out there, there are processes that work. Today, everything is so video oriented that if you're not really comfortable on video, you better get comfortable on video.
Yeah.
Because it's impactful. I think that I had a situation where I did 3 videos before an appointment, and I did an appointment without any videos and went to the appointment, had a great appointment, but on the other hand, it went completely differently than when I sent the videos. And you set up expectations by utilizing the videos. And when you set up those expectations in advance, the amount of knowledge that you can receive in that one short appointment is significant. But then it's also when you're thinking about the pattern interrupted and the just different things that normally we don't know to look for. And if you really start, you can really start picking up on those key words that people use so that you're able to circle back and really dive into what somebody's issue is and whether or not you're going to be able to solve it. You can also tell early on in an appointment, maybe this isn't the right fit for me and I don't really want to work with this person.
Yeah.
So again, I think that sending the videos and really setting up expectations is the key and what really makes the difference between the appointments. And I had an opportunity that I had 2 on the same day One, I was able to preemptively set up to the expectation, and the other one I really wasn't able to set that up. And I think for me, that was powerful to really see that if I would spend the time and I would do this, it seemed to go a lot smoother than when I did it the other way, the easy way. We'll call that the cop out way.
Exactly.
And I still have a good relationship with both those realtors. It was just a different experience. And I can tell you that out of both those appointments, I've gotten way more referrals out of the one I took the time with. And it wasn't that I didn't want to take the time with the other one. It was just I didn't have that opportunity.
Right.
Because things started to move fairly quickly for me.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't have the opportunity, but then it happened on the other one that I did. And it's a completely different relationship that I even have with that particular individual versus the other.
Yeah, I think you're saying all the right stuff here, and exactly what we're talking about. We talk about frames all the time. Like you're the doctor frame, and really coming in as being that expert advisor. And a lot of people say that, but they just don't know how to do it. Like, or they kind of heard it. You might be on this podcast and like, oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, hearing it and having the skill set to do it is two totally different things, right? It's kind of look up the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? The Dunning-Kruger effect is the old. I know that, and you don't have the skill set basically. And so there's a big difference between that and the skill set. And so when we always talk about decreasing hours, decreasing how long it's going to take you to have quick and predictable growth, it is a skill set that does that, right? So like we can go out there and we can have like anybody can coach on like, hey, go out there and work 100 hours and just call all damn day and you can get some. But you're illustrating 2 points there. One, not only did you get the real estate agent to send you business, you got them to send more referrals, and it's a better book, right? It's a better relationship. And so how we set the frame in the beginning sets us off for more referrals, better relationship. And that way we could actually grow our business, which is exactly what we want. So, if you're out here, you're listening, by the way, and you feel like, okay, I can't have those conversations go correct, or I'm not getting referrals. A lot of it has to do with your frame, and right. It could be meeting the right person too. Like you just don't have anything to give. Like you gotta be meeting with agents that can refer business, but maybe your frame is off, which I would highly suggest to you it is. And then even if they are giving you referrals, maybe you're not giving you the good referrals, and if you find yourself getting that like the bottom of the barrel, your frame was probably off and you didn't set that correct. So what Holly is saying here is she set the frame correctly, and then they were able to like, okay, have this better relationship that was like, okay, it was rooted in this is the advisor, this is the value add, rather than I'm trying to beg for business here and I'm showing up like, hey, I got my products, because your typical loan officer spends 60 to 70% in presentation mode. It's about 15-20% of like small talk, which makes you small, talking about like, hey, the weather outside, man, I tell you, this is the weather. And then as soon as like that like dulls down, there's awkward silence. Like they either ask you a question, right? They either ask you a question, and then they're on repeated asking you questions, and you're just taking questions, and you're trying to fight off questions everywhere, and you're going into presentation mode of 60-70% of that, meaning that you're talking about your product, service, communication. And then it's like, then you try to, hey, please send me business at the end kind of thing, which none of that whole thing is just off. It's an old, outdated, horrible thing. And it probably as well is like your sales manager or your branch manager, like, hey, here's the book here's what we do really well. Go out there and sell like we're the best this and best that. And you talk about pattern interrupt, right? Like that's the pattern, like the same patterns they already have. Right? You're not interrupting a pattern because that's just something you've already heard, right? But you're pattern interrupting it and saying, hey, I'm different, I'm framing, I'm having a different conversation, I'm a different lender. And you don't have to, the good news is you probably don't have to talk about your communication that much because you're demonstrating great communication. That's the whole key. So you have absolutely done an amazing job of that. And again, great testament to you because you've ran the play, right? You've done the thing. And then you've had this great flair about you because you're amazing, like networker, and you use your gifts, your natural gifts that and now you accentuate them because you are gifted in some areas. So like, we don't want to take away from any of that because you are, but you're accentuating, right? You're doing some cool stuff and you're taking those actions, and some cool stuff has happened. So, so let me ask you something. We did a 6-week challenge. I want to go over like what happened this 6-week challenge, because we had a Top Gun challenge. Holly Luca was the winner, where she actually got paid. Well, actually, the check is on the way, I should say. From
I can't
me,
wait to get my trophy.
Trophy's coming. Holly won the 6-week Top Gun LO challenge we have. So, by the way, when you sign into Hires Coaching, you come on board. We're going to be having another one. So Holly Holly is definitely she could be an instructor on the next one if she wants to, like Top Gun, or she could just say, hey, I'm just gonna beat your butt, and you come in there and try to challenge her. But she crushed it. So Holly, like, tell me, like, it's 6 weeks, just 6 weeks. How many referral partners did you gain that are sending you referrals right now? In 6 weeks, just 6 weeks in this challenge.
I don't have that sheet out, but I think I was at 8.
8.
At the end. It was, you have to remember when you have your appointments or your calls, even on the phone, that you have to ask for the referrals. They're not going to give them to you. You have to ask. You have to remember to ask. But that's something that I've always known is if you don't ask, you'll never receive, or you won't know. And so I think that number one is the reason why you get the referrals, is because you ask for them. And but I believe that for me, it was just setting up the framework, in whether it was a phone call or whether it was a face-to-face appointment with people, staying positive, focusing on them and their business. And you had referenced communication, Adam. Communication is always an issue that people struggle with.
Yep.
And so it is something that you can solve. But the interesting part of it is because if you set your frame up correctly, that's never going to come back, and you're not ever going to be asked directly. So Holly, how is your communication? I've never been in all of the appointments that I have conducted, not been asked. But then again, I offer up my program that I offer. I'll send it to them, after our meeting, and end a conversation. We don't go into a great deal about that, but I attribute that back to the frame and how you set up that whole appointment and expectations, because your focus is always on them. It's never on you per se. And what it is, you're still providing them information as to what you have to offer. But I don't know. It was exciting. It was exciting. Yeah. It was exciting to win the Top Gun challenge for sure. I can't wait for my trophy or my cash, but
it's all its way.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, you have a saying, Adam, limited risk equals limited income.
Yep.
And it's very true. If you're not willing to put yourself out there and really try many different things, many different ways of speaking, then the income's never going to be there, because not every one person is the same.
Yeah, 100%. Well said, Holly. Again, just think about that. 8 referring partners sending her referrals in just 6 weeks. So you out there, like, if you got 0, you got 5. I mean, there's a lot of loan officers. Your typical loan officer has been doing it for years, has maybe 5 referring partners. So this is incredible. And it's just a testament to someone being amazing, like Holly is, being, having some good talent, and then coupling with, hey, let's follow a roadmap. Let's shore up our skill sets, and let's have the confidence to win every day, right? That's a success triad. And she did that in 6 weeks. That's the results. She's got deals in the pipeline now, right? She's got referrals every single week. And now it becomes quick and predictable, right? Like I always talk about, quickly and predictably growing your income, quickly and predictably helping loan officers add multiple six figures to your income. And this is adding multiple six figures to your income, because this is what happens. Like this, you get the referrals, you get the referral partners, you get them referring you, and then all of a sudden they start going on contract, and then boom, now you're on pace to make 200, 400,000 very rapidly. It can happen that quick. I would encourage you all to think about this, like, regardless what help you get, it is proven over and over. You go further and faster with help. So get help somewhere if you're struggling, because you got to believe in yourself. This can happen really quick. If you've just been struggling for years, like, when is enough, right? When is enough going to be enough to where you're going to go, hey, another month go by, another 2 months go by, you don't have referrals? You got to stop thinking it's the market. I always just marvel at that, because the thing is like, you have a loan officer like Holly. Think about this. Holly came in 6 weeks, getting referrals, getting deals in a pipeline. And there's people out there, loan officers out there, been doing it for years, doing 3 loans a month, which is not bad. I'm not putting anybody down. That's where you want to be. Cool, stay there. But saying, hey, I can't grow, or hey, it's a market. Well, if they just did that same kind of activity and worked on their skill sets in that way, could they go from 3 loans to 6 and 7 and 8 and 10 really rapidly? The answer is 100% yes, right? This is just 6 weeks. What happens in 12 weeks? What happens in another 6 weeks? And of course, we'll talk to Holly kind of like where she wants to go. What happens in another 6 weeks? What happens in another 12 weeks? If you continue this type of activities and these things, and just working on skill sets, it can happen. So like, I would just encourage you, like, when is enough that you're going to continue down that path and say, hey, it can't be done, or it's the market. It's not the market. It really is not. Like, because if it took, you got 5 referring partners now, for example, say you're out there, you got 5 referral partners, and you're currently doing, say, 3 deals a month, like, and before with that, you're getting 5. Well, maybe now they're getting a little less referrals from the referring partners, correct? Because maybe the market's got a little tough. Guess what? Like, if you added 5, you added 8 referring partners, can you do more business than what you ever did in any year? The answer you're going to come back with is yes. If you get the right ones, like, that's the key. So all it takes is, it's going to take a commitment to a roadmap, what you're going to do every day, the direction you're going to take. It's going to take you to be confident, right? And do confidence. We talk about that, because confidence is not something you just have. Like, Holly is someone that is confident, naturally got some good confidence, but she has to do confidence every day for it to build a muscle and keep doing it. And then she has to work on those skill sets, like the frame, like the 13-step perfect meeting that we have, to go through that and be able to diagnose people and get them all the way to referral. So it's just these skill sets. It's just these things that you can do to grow. So if you're out there, you're struggling, like, when's enough? Like, take the action, take the step, get the help, and your business can happen this quickly too. So I love stories like Holly. I want her on here because I want that message to reach people, like, you can do it too, right? Like, you can turn your business very quickly. And Holly is a testament to that. So amazing job, Holly. All your stuff's on the way. You're a winner chicken dinner. So I love it. You had a close call. Almost Jamie.
Oh, I know.
Jamie come up there and just about nipped you. But
I was doing my winner chicken dinner dance at the end.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe she did get really close.
Yeah, close. So she'll be on a podcast here, I think about a month or so. We'll get her on a podcast too. She had a lot of success too. You're all going to hear about Jamie. Went from zero as well, referral partners to 7, and getting, back-to-back weeks, 6 referrals from referring partners. I think this week she's on pace to do like 7 or 8 referrals from, so 6 weeks. How quickly can you change your business? Okay, so Holly, like, where do you want to go from here? Like, what's your next big, like, mountain? What do you want to climb? What do you want to do? Like, and how you feel like you're going to get there?
Well, I have set some very high goals for myself, because I'm extremely competitive.
Yes, I know you are.
That's just part of who I am. So I'll share some of those with you. So one of the goals that I set before I started coaching and all of that stuff, so just in the beginning, is that I'll become one of the most sought after mortgage lenders in the Austin area, because I'm in Austin. Austin is big.
Yep.
We got a lot of people coming to Austin and a lot of people that need help. And I'm going to be that number one person to be able to provide that service. I also wanted to be the number one loan officer in the state of Texas,
Nice.
volume wise. So then I was out researching, well, who is the number one person in Texas right now? And what's the volume I have to do? And I do have that number, by the way. And I am going to beat that number by the end of next year.
Oh, wow. Okay. I love it.
And so then
this is, by the way, this is on air. Like, I never heard her say this, so I'm excited too. So I'm hearing this live. So this is awesome.
Well, you know, I defined my goals in the beginning too. And as I've gone through this and I've met more people, I see the potential that I have, and I know what I have to offer over everybody else. And I do believe today that I am that good. I have a great service to provide to people. I have a lot of confidence in my abilities, obviously. And, you know, and that confidence is the biggest key here.
Yep.
I do want to open up my own office by the end of 2023. I want to have at least one employee, but I'm hoping for several.
Nice.
Then I am extremely passionate about financial counseling and financial literacy for people. And so then I will teach financial education in my spare time at a local community college here in the Austin area. And I plan on applying for some federal and state grant money to be able to bring that to fruition. I have actually obtained my HUD housing certification, so I'm really excited about that. I finalized all that this week. So again, every day I'm taking a step closer and closer to those goals. I'm adding more tools to my, what I call my toolkit. And so that I'm able to help more people and get my name out there more. And then obviously I'm going to attain an income greater than $1 million per year. That's my goal.
Love it.
I'm going to hit that millionaire at least once in my life. So I don't know. Those are some hefty goals. And I do believe I'm not a quitter. Nope. I'm always willing to, if this doesn't work, then something has to be tweaked and I have to try this. But those ultimately are my end goals. I have a lot of them I'd like to attend by the end of next year. I've given myself this particular 2022 is my beginning and my trial and my working on all those skill sets that I need to have. And then obviously my 2023 has to be a significant production year to be able to do that. But I think I'll attain a lot of production by the end of this year. It's just a matter of not losing my momentum. Because once you start, you can never slack back on your momentum. Because I can honestly say that I did that 1 week. And I saw a significant difference in what was happening. So then I freak out because I don't have as many appointments scheduled. So again, I think if you just test yourself in those ways too, it's helpful because then it proves the steps that you are doing do work. And when you fall away from that, that's when you'll start to struggle again. So those who aren't starting and aren't jump starting, if you will, or restarting the business that they've been in for years, they're really missing out.
I love it. I want to unpack a few things here, and then we'll get your parting shot and get out of here. But I hope everybody's just taking ready to charge through a building right now, charge through a wall or something, because this has been amazing. I know I am. I'm excited for it. So, think about what Holly did in the 6 weeks, right? And then think about her journey was fears, start out from fears, a little bit of desperation. So now she had that helped her start to, hey, I got to take these actions and move beyond the fears into inspiration. Hey, I'm going to win this challenge, winning the challenge, and now building upon it and now saying, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make $1 million a year. I'm going to freaking dominate. I'm going to do all these things. And now this is allowing her to move forward and have momentum, as she's talking about. here so she could push those fears back and just override them, right? Because now the fears are not going to stop her because she has these bigger, loftier goals. And here's the gift too, is like people go, well, how are you going to do that? Well, that's the gift. You don't know. She doesn't know yet how all she's going to do it, right? She has an idea, but not the whole thing, right? That's where we can continue to work on the roadmap and tweak and everything else with our coaching. But like, we don't know that. That's the gift, right? The problem with goals, they are holding you back. And I talked about this, I think maybe the last podcast. Your goals are holding you back simply because when you make them small and just to get by, right? Your desperation, okay, if I can just make enough money to get by, then what happens is we don't hit those goals at all because it doesn't really get us up. Like, we're not motivated really by doing just enough to like get by and not be able to afford anything. Like, Holly is motivated to do that extra step because, hey, I'm going to make this $1 million. I'm going to be in my name's going to be on lights. They're going to say, hey, that's the one. That's the one that you want to go. I'm going to walk around and be like, yeah, that's the one, right? So that is enough to move beyond some of those fears, move beyond, because she's going to have other fears, right? Fears are going to come up like, oh man, can I do this? Nope, I can because I have this lofty goal, and she won't retract because of that. So make these goals, like get beyond that fear, get beyond the desperation, move into inspiration, and move those needles above. It doesn't mean you have 6 weeks. If she said, hey, I'm going to make $1 million, that would be crazy, right? But can she say, hey, I'm going to dominate here and I'm going to build upon it? And then the year or 2 year forecast that you should be having out there should be so big you don't know how you're going to do it yet. If you know how you're going to do all the steps, your goals are not big enough. And especially in the year or 2 and 3 or 4 years down the line, they're just not big enough. If you know how to fill those gaps as you sit, and we're talking about goals out from year 2, 3, 4 years out, your goals are not big enough because that's what you're not supposed to know all this, right? You just don't, because there's so many steps along the way. So that's the good news. I love that. Holly, what's your parting shot before we go here? Like, just anything you want to share, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to tell me, anything you want to tell the crowd, whatever. Just you're for it.
I think my new thing is you have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. So people have got to put themselves out there and give it a try. It's all about moving one step forward at a time and never giving up.
Yeah.
Don't give up. So
100%. Like Holly said, like I say all the time, limit your risk equals limited income. Keep taking those steps, keep doing the thing. And again, study after study shows you go further and faster with help. If you want help today to start growing your business and you have enough is enough, you're either in desperation now, it feels like you're not making the money you want to, you're not going on vacations you want to, you're not being able to provide as you richly deserve to your family, then let's move beyond that and let's move into inspiration of what you can truly achieve. And we will help you do that with step-by-step, holding you accountable to the roadmap that you need to get you where you need to go to, helping you with the skill set you need, and gaining confidence that you can start taking these actions together like Holly has, and just continue to succeed. And if you get in there and you meet her, she'll just being around some people like her is going to, you have no choice if you're a winner to want to be a winner and be a winner together. So that's the power of not just our coaching, but our platform and our group, because we have great group members like this that will pull the best out of you, and you just want to be more and do more and provide for your family. So if you need help, go to hirescoaching.com and just click on the consultation button. We'll have a conversation and we'll see if you're truly a fit for our program, where you can quickly and predictably grow your business and add multiple 6 figures to your income without sleazy sales tactics. That's all we got for today. Remember the drill: limit your risk equals limited income.